This is me. This is my beloved wife, Sylvia. This is Sylvia's idea of sailing. This is my dream of sailing and my hope of circumnavigating the globe as a retirement project in 2029. This is Sylvia's reaction to that idea. I am on a 6-year quest to convince Sylvia that a circumnavigation is a wonderful adventure, but the clock is ticking, so join me as I search for the perfect yacht that Sylvia will love, and get all your ladies to subscribe and cheer Sylvia on in the comments. Welcome back to Naval Gazing at Camp David. Today we are looking at the smallest yacht in the lineup of what is fast becoming the standard for people like me who want a tough, reliable, yet comfortable and reasonably fast circumnavigation vessel. We're talking, of course, about the Balance 442. Today, we're going to review its specifications, pricing, and layout against 3 similar new vessels. 2, do a full tour asking, what would Sylvia say? 3, naval gaze and innovation and or adjustment that might make life aboard just a little easier. 4, have a look at the used market for 3 to 5-year-old comparables. And 5, give it a Dave score and compare the result with all the previously reviewed yachts. All this fun will be sandwiched once again between a wonderful bottle of wine from the region paired with this gorgeous yacht and a lovely piece of art reflecting the culture and the influences that make up this wonderful vessel. From high above Vancouver, we fly across the Pacific all the way to China and Hudson Yacht and Marine Co. yards in Ju Jiang Village, the home of last week's Future Yacht, the HH-52. From here, we continue southwest all the way down to South Africa and the home of Balance Catamarans in Cape Town. Finally, we hop inland to this week's wine pairing at the, and wait for it, Afrikaner is fascinating to pronounce, Boekenhoutskloof Winery. Boekenhoutskloof Winery. Guys, help me out. In 1933, the farmland and homestead was bought and restored, and a new vineyard planting program was established that now includes Syrah, Cabernet Sauvignon, Cabernet Franc, Grenache, Semillon, and Vignon. In 1996, the first vintage of Boekenhoutskloof was produced from Cabernet Sauvignon vineyard and is still in production today. In 1997, the first Porcupine Ridge was launched. It was a Sauvignon Blanc with a label incorporating a pen and ink drawn by the late acclaimed wildlife artist Zach Eloff. In 2002, the first vintage of the Chocolate Block was produced. From this 2002 vintage, 15 barrels were bottled and released in 2003. 2003, the Wolf Trap brand was launched, even though no evidence of wolves has ever been found on Boekenhoutskloof. They created this wine to remind them of the mysteries and legends of days gone by. In 2007, Mark Kemp became Diners Club Winemaker of the Year in recognition for his unswerving winemaking excellence. Our wine today is the Boekenhoutskloof Syrah 2018. The grapes for this Syrah are from selected parcels of the finest Syrah planted on the estates owned Swartland farms named Porsenlegberg and Goldmine. These vineyards grow on the rocky bedrock of decomposed mica schist and a unique terroir expressed by the concentrated and structured wines. The Syrah grapes are all hand harvested into lug boxes and transported to Boekenhoutskloof for vinification. Grapes are cooled prior to being transferred to tulip-shaped concrete tanks for fermentation. A combination of partially destemmed and whole bunch clusters ferment spontaneously with minimal sulfur additions and no acidification. A soft délestage is performed 2 to 3 times per day. Once maceration is complete, the skins are basket pressed and gravity fed into traditional 2,500-liter Austrian oak foudres. You recall we looked at those in the past, or the ginormous oval-shaped casks, and 600-liter demi-mutes for further aging of up to 18 months. Dark fruit dominates an intense brooding nose with its black currant, black olive, tar, and graphite aromas. Luscious sweet red and dark berries follow through onto an exceptionally complex palate with rich flavors of ripe plums. Black cardamom and hints of ground pepper and sweet tobacco. A serious core of cured meat and green olive tapenade add to the attractive savory character of the structured mid-palate, with notes of milk chocolate coating the mouth. The wine is supple, medium to full-bodied, with a beautiful concentration, silky textured tannins, and vibrant acidity to balance. Red fruit and spice linger on the finish. Oh, that's a beautiful wine. You're going to enjoy that. Let's go have a look at that boat. Cheers. Looking at this vessel, I can honestly say that both the 482 and the 442 exude a sense of absolute solidity and quality and confidence. Even for somebody who doesn't know much about sailing, I could get on board there and feel comfortable. So I know Sylvia could, and that's huge for us. The lines of the boat are almost German in their practicality and engineered perfection. I love those dagger boards sticking up there. Just give it that sense of absolute sportiness. The vertical, almost vertical windows, huge glass area, and it's all real glass, so no grazing, really add to an incredible sense of space and comfort when you're actually in the cockpit and the saloon. This is a boat that just makes you feel comfortable, happy, secure, and excited all at the same time. I don't know how to describe the feeling, but I came back to it after looking at about 20 other boats just to see if it felt the same after I'd looked at others. And I found myself thinking it looks even better after I looked at others. It's a fantastic vessel. Okay, today we are going to compare this to the HHOC 44, the Aventura 45, and the Seawind 1370. Now, you can see the sail areas there. You've got the Aventura at 125 square meters, and it's going to need it. I know it doesn't completely belong in this group, but I have it here for my purposes. The Seawind 1370 is 116 square meters, and the HH is 101, with the balance being 105. All of them have a nice silhouette, with the Aventura, one would say the thickest, but it shows as far as the interior comfort goes when you're in there. Moving on to the cabin tops, we're looking at the Aventura, which is the only one with any kind of a fly lounge. And I'm not sure why that is. I get the silhouette looks sexier. I get you've got slightly less windage. I get that your boom will be lower, but XS has come up with a solution to all of this, and it's a fold-down lounge that basically embeds itself in the cockpit bimini. And so when you're at anchor, which is 90% of the time, you simply pull the boom to one side, flip up the seat backs, and Bob's your uncle, you have a fly lounge. And then we took it one step further, if you recall back, I think it was the Windaloo 54 review, where we created the Versa Lounge in honor of Phil, where you had the same thing, but you didn't even lose the solar area. So it's doable, and it's an attractive feature that everybody likes that I talk to, even the performance sailors. I'm not sure why we're not doing it. Take that design and run with it, boys. Balance 442, very clean lines. That mid-helm is very nice with the slide across when you slide the Versa helm down into the lower position for your a nice protected navigation. The mid-helm again on the Aventura. Both the Seawind and the HH have a strictly lower helm. The HH, in my mind, and we'll wait to see what happens, but looks like the best helm of the bunch in that it has a Versa helm, but it's all on the same level. The helm will go all the way out to the bulwark, so that you're standing there about 3 inches away from the edge of your boat, and you can sight right down the side, almost like on an ORC. You also can see the water, hear the water, see the water behind you. You're in complete control and connection. You can look up and see your sails and your sail trim. And then if it gets ugly, you can swing it to the middle or swing it all the way inward and look through the windows. The thing that, now obviously the Balance does all of that. The thing that sets the HH apart is that it's all on the same level, so that your winches are immediately at hand regardless of what helm position you're in, versus the Balance where you're going to have to hop up, swing that roof piece back and grab your winches. Now, I'm not an experienced sailor, so I don't know how often that circumstance will happen, but it was something that was pointed out. Now, on the other side, on the HH side, a couple of things that have been pointed out that we'll have to wait and see about is, will your lines get tangled up in your engine controls and your great wheel? They're very, very close there, which has its benefits and may have its drawbacks. So there you go. Seawind 1370, I'm not a fan of that helm position. I know it's very, very sheltered, but it's too sheltered. There's about 1.5 feet of hull between you and the side of that hull. So you absolutely have to look up and through a window in the cockpit bimini. And you gotta drop your window so you're looking without 2 layers of glass between you and the front of the boat as you look through the saloon, which isn't my favorite idea. The other thing is, when I saw hull number 1 being dropped in the river, I saw some very anxious, obviously captains who were looking to get that thing up and tested, but they were literally leaping up onto that side bulwark and leaping over to look up and see those sails rather than looking through the window in the cockpit top, which makes me wonder. You're too far away from the side of the boat, in my opinion. So of these, my preference is it's a toss-up, depending on what practical life brings, between the 442 and the HH OC44. The Aventura 45 is very nice in and of itself. You are a little more exposed there. You don't have quite the level of safety that you have in the Balance 442. So there we go. Now, let us hop into the said saloon here. First, look at those weight numbers. You've got the HH at a staggering 9.7 ton. You've got the Balance 442 next at of 11.9 ton. Very, very attractive. The Seawind at a highly respectable 12.1 ton, but it's the heaviest by 0.1 ton because the Aventura 45 is at 12 ton. Hard as that might be to believe. Now, admittedly, your hull resins are not the quality they are on the Seawind, but holy macaroni, that is a very comfortable cruising cat at 12 ton. Looking at the space inside, of course, the Aventura has it in spades. The Balance here, due to its beam, and it's a good foot or more, more than a foot wider than the 44, as we'll see in the specs. It has a very, very comfortable saloon. It may look a little smaller here, but it's your eyes being fooled by the overhang on the hull companionways on the HH. Looking over at the Seawind, again, you've got a very substantial saloon there. I would say it's got to be very close to the Balance 442, but I can tell you from experience that Balance 442 saloon is it does not feel like a 45-foot boat. It feels like a much bigger boat. Moving down to the accommodations. So look at those teeny weeny needle hulls on the HH44. They really are quite something. But they do constrict your space a bit. Here we've got the Aventura 45 with 2 full 3-sided walk-around athwartship berths. Bravo. Beautiful. The next would be the Balance 442 and Seawind 1370, both with a very similar layout. In the owner's hull, you've got a wonderful athwartship berth in the bow, with doorways through to extra stowage in the forepeak. The sea wind is cut off a little bit, but it does have something of a closet there. The Balance 442 is extraordinary. You can open that door, and all I could think about was I'll run some rails down there, and my Sylvia will be so happy she's got a walk-in closet in a 45-foot boat. Absolutely exceptional. The HH, you're going with traditional fore-aft berths, wall to wall. Sylvia did give me the thumbs up on these as long as I guaranteed that I would be the one making the bed. HH makes up for a little less space with a massive freaking window in the aft section, and incredible finishes everywhere you look. Now, I'm not harping on Balance or Seawind. They both have beautiful finishes, but the HH is really something else. So there you have the accommodations. Moving to the numbers, going across the top line. Balance, the lowest price here is going to be the Aventura at $487, an incredible value. I do not see corners cut when I walk this boat. I was on the 37, the 45 isn't released yet, and I was on the what is now called the 50 MY, the Power Cat, and the finishes and the quality really did feel solid. Now, I'm not an engineer, but I think this is an exceptional value for a boat. Next up is the Seawind at a 759, affectionately called the lower cost Outremer. Again, I think that's a good value at that price. Next up, we got the Balance 442 at 915. This is a really, I can't say it enough. This boat is just built solid. Then the HH at a wee bit more at 947. So length overall, we've got the HH in the lead at 49.7, followed by the Balance and the Aventura at 44.29. Followed by the Seawind at 45, and then the Balance and Aventura at 44.29. The beam is the telling point here. The widest beam is the Balance 442 at 24.93, or 7.6 meters. The next one up is going to be it's tied, Aventura to Seawind, 24.6, and then finally the HH at 23.46. So HH longest, HH narrowest, HH lightest, you're getting the message. Looking at tankage, as we look across, it's the Balance 442 that's in the lead at 800 liters and 700 liters of fuel and water, respectively, followed by the Aventura, the Seawind, and then the HH42. Moving to the more technical items, hull materials. As we look across here, the HH would have the most robust hull with epoxy infused e-glass sandwich construction, a barrier outside skin of vinyl ester, and extensive use of carbon fiber. Then probably tied for second would be the Balance and the Seawind 1370. Balance e-glass with carbon fiber reinforcement, vacuum bag closed cell foam cores with a combination of polyester inner skin resins and vinyl ester outer skin resins. The Seawind e-glass with carbon fiber reinforcement, vacuum bag closed cell foam cores, vinyl ester resin. Actually, by the sounds of it, the Seawind has the better resin combination, but the Balance also uses a heat-molded foam core, which allows for a lighter construction and more even distribution of the resin itself. Of course, the Aventura, far more standard production boat with multi-axle fiberglass, PVC foam resin, and a gel coat. So you've got polyester boat here. As we now look down into the sailing performance indicators, sail area to displacement, or an indicator of power, highest number wins, and it is the Seawind. That's 29.76 sail area to displacement. Next up is going to be the Aventura at 25.96. Next is the HH at 24.16. And finally, the Balance at 21.99. The displacement to hull length or heaviness of the boat, here the lowest number wins, and it is the HH44 at 104.12, followed by the Seawind at 118.8, and then the Balance at 121.8, and the Aventura at 123.32. All reasonable numbers. Okay, hopping on board. What would Sylvia say? Well, I think Sylvia would love this boat. The sense of confidence it gives you, the sense of solidity, the sense of engineering. There's my friend Kayla who booked me on board for this lovely tour. But look at everything is engineered in and integrated, and it looks production ready, and I mean that in the best of terms, i.e. it doesn't look handmade, it doesn't look hand laid up, it looks like a beautiful, high quality production vessel with all the kinks worked out. Every angle of this, they put some nice windows there at the end of each hull into the, on one side, the owner's shower, on the other side, the guest berth. Moving up here, you've got that flexi teak on there. Very strong davits for your dinghy. And then all your line handling, as Phil would say, they reduce the spaghetti as much as humanly possible. All your line handling go into very nice bins, and the side decks are kept clear. You look across here, you can see all of the lines head down into bins so that everything is controlled and there's nothing that's going to tangle on anything. Beautifully laid out. There's that water catchment system come handrail that you can walk all the way down the cabin top with. Those beautiful anodized stanchions for your safety lines there, and nice dolphin seats right up there. Also, that unique longeron, the dual beam longeron there, which allows the netting to stay almost at the same level as the deck, reducing any tripping. Not to mention that longeron, as you walk down, it gives a sense of an absolute industrial strength. And of course, it has a nice door that gives you access to that the anchor that you can see hanging right there. That's a little further aft. You don't have chain wandering across. Nice gel coat that's eventually going to stain. I'm also told now that they're going to be incorporating a power code furler at the front there, which is just going to be beautiful. You'll be able to use your code sail so much more because you're not going to be afraid of the effort of putting it up or taking it down. There's those beautiful dagger boards. So this is a 44-foot yacht that has dagger boards, so it's going to sail upwind beautifully. Look at the way those solar panels are integrated. That's my biggest beef on most of these boats. The solar panels look tacked on. You've got the controllers and the wires all over the place. These are glass solar panels with full ventilation underneath and everything hidden. It looks absolutely classy. Now looking into the cockpit area here, absolutely gorgeous. Your soft finishings there are nice and tight. There's no wrinkles in the covers. You can see the even the plastic table, which I'm not a fan of. I'd probably replace it with a high gloss teak, but it looks good. Now, the area here where the Versa helm comes down, you've got a wonderful space for obviously navigating in bad weather when you pull that cover over the upper helm. But it really doesn't eat into your entertainment area in the cockpit. And it creates such a fantastic space here when you really want to be sheltered. You've got your engine controls right down there. You've got full access to all of your radios. As we step up here, you can see all your foot pedals for your electric winches. You've got repeated engine controls up here, so you're not reaching back and forth. You can see that slide away sunshade for the upper helm here. And then you've got your plotter right up there. Of course, it's repeated down below. And just look at how beautifully done all those bins are, and that nice touch of a carbon fiber edge to that. As I said, everything here looks finished to the nines, engineered and done beautifully. As we look up the single spreader, oh no, it's a double spreader mast, pardon me. So cup holders, you name it, you've got it all. And just a tremendous view of, there's one bow, there's the other bow, and of course back here we see one stern and the last stern right here. So absolutely fantastic visibility, and that is one good thing about this raised helm, is that you do have better visibility than you necessarily would on, say, the HH44. Again, there's trade-offs. Look at now I'm in the metal business, so when I look at that drainage grate there with the machined in logos, I just go berserk. But look at the feeling you get as you look around this saloon. What they've done differently here is they broke up the white by using a beautifully textured corian. And that corian texture and the colors in it match so beautifully with their wood veneers. Remember now, all of these all the wood you see here is foam cored. So it's a real wood veneer on a foam core. It's as light as a feather. And look how they took that countertop and waterfalled it over the edge. It really took away from the stark whiteness that you tended to have in the 482 that I was on. Nice areas for hanging your towels, nice areas for draining your dishes. Everything about this it's just so engineered. It's so beautifully done, and everything feels so solid. I love the sole treatment they've done on this one. It's extremely nice. And you can see, all the space and all the windows. You've got the indirect lighting all integrated in there. And believe it or not, you've got integrated lighting on the outside under the lip of the cabin top. So it looks absolutely extraordinary. Now, your settee is raised there, so you get full access and visibility out the windows. There's your forward-facing nav. This owner elected not to have the swing-out stool and instead filled that area with stowage. I'm not sure what I would do now that I've seen this one. I might just go with the stool. Beautiful carbon fiber guide rail taking you down the steps, and the stairs just look gorgeous. You know how I like to look down as I'm going down the stairs to have a look at what it looks like. But look at indirect lighting, beautiful ventilation, the cabinetry, so much cabinetry. It really makes this feel warm and comfortable, but bearing in mind it does not add weight to this thing because it's all foam cored. The latches are all integrated and feel absolutely wonderful. Now, here's the interesting thing. On the 482, this aft bathroom, which I know Phil really loves, it felt oversized. That shower felt ginormous. I can't imagine what the 526 must feel like. But in this one, it felt like it had hit the sweet spot of its size. The shower felt luxurious without being oversized. The entire bathroom felt a perfect size. Here we are now coming into the master cabin. Now, look at this beautiful athwartship berth. Look at the full three-side access, stairs up, comfortable access up the side, lots of stowage underneath, lots of plug-ins on either side, integrated indirect lighting, a window back here that goes under the deck so that you can have it open for ventilation even during rain. And look at the size. Like, Andrew's a big guy, and he had loads of space there. Now, a little navel gazing. Let's have a look at something that might make life aboard a little easier, and that comes to do with bed making. I may have a fixation on this, but here is something, I mentioned it way earlier in the videos, and it's a slide out like I had on my Tundra. And it made life so easy loading and unloading that truck. And can you imagine building something like this in a lightweight and utilizing it under the mattresses so that you could slide the mattresses out, make the bed, slide the mattresses back in, have full access without crawling around, and just lock it in place? It's so easy to do, and the materials could make it light as a feather. It's something every catamaran manufacturer should really look at, especially when you have those wall-to-wall beds that are hard to make. Okay, back into the master bedroom. This is my favorite. Here is Sylvia's walk-in closet. Look at that. And steps up and out if you want it. So access to the front deck from your master cabin. Nice window letting in light, but of course it's the escape hatch as well. But what a fabulous stowage area. Here we are back upstairs. And now let's go look at pre-owned comparables. I don't know what we're going to look at that could compare with this, but let's have a look. First one we're looking at here is a Lagoon 46. It's a 22, so it's less than a year old. They're asking $975,000. I take the base price, as you know, of the Balance, and I add 50% for all the toys and additives that I would do. And in doing 100 of these, it's almost always there, within a little bit back and forth. Now with the wild changes in exchange and changes in commodity pricing and changes in shipping pricing, take all of these prices with a ginormous grain of salt and, give or take $100,000. So here we are, our comparative sail away for the Balance 442 is going to be $1,372,500. That's brand new. We're comparing it with $975,000 for the Lagoon. There's not even a question in my mind. I do like what Lagoon does, but the Balance is so much more balanced, if I could say. I don't know how else to put it, but for going around the world, it's the one I would trust. Next up, we're looking at a Leopard 45. Now, the Leopard 45s always give me a sense of solidity to them, but I do know that technically they're not quite the level of a Balance. They do have that fabulous forward cockpit, a fabulous fly lounge. There's a lot to love about a Leopard 45. And I was on the Barefoot Doctor's Leopard 45 at the last show I was at. Very, very nice yacht. So here we're looking at a 2020. It's 2 years old. It's $849,000 versus 1.372, 1.4 million. So what? 600,000 more. I think about it, but not too long. I'd still go with the Balance. Next up, we're looking at a Naughty Tech 46. 2018 4-year-old boat. They're asking $690,000, so half the price of the Balance, but it's a 4-year-old boat. If I had the cash, I'd do the Balance in a heartbeat. Next up, Neil 47, basically a new one. They're looking at $667,000. The 47 to me just isn't big enough for me. I've been on it. I like it. I like all the things about Neil. But again, the Balance would have it. Looks like the Balance had a clean sweep. So, how about some monohull heresy? Now, as you know, comparing monohulls to catamarans, in order to get a comparable living space, I add 20% to the length of the catamaran and come up with the monohull. So we're looking at about 50-foot monohulls versus a 44, 45-foot catamaran here to get equivalent space and a reasonable comparison. So here we are looking at a 22 Bavaria C50. Very nice boat, $710,000, half the price. It's a capable boat. It's half the price. If I had the money, I'd still go with the Balance. And I know Sylvia would too, because she'd be way more comfortable and way more secure. All I got to do is heel that Bavaria over accidentally once, or screw up with the asymmetric just once, and that's the end of our trip. So I'd still go with the Balance. Next up, we're looking at a Discovery 54. This is on par as far as quality goes. It's a 4-year-old boat. They're asking $1.234 million. A 4-year-old monohull versus brand new state-of-the-art Balance. $100,000 difference. Sorry, Balance would win every time. Next up, we're looking at a Passport 545, 4-year-old boat. They're looking about just under $1 million versus $1,372,000 for the Balance. This is a beautiful boat, but I would still be far safer, even though it's a very, very capable world cruiser. I'd be far safer with Sylvia and continuing the journey on the Balance. So again, clean sweep for the Balance. Okay, we're into the Dave score. So how did she score? Well, she scored very well. We're looking 74 out of 100. The HHOC wound up maybe 1 point ahead. I don't try to manipulate these. I don't know. It's almost a dead even heat for these two, in my opinion. And the only reason it wouldn't be a little higher is it's a little small. The Outremer 55, of course, gives me that a lot more space, and it's just 1 point ahead. So looking at elegance, the interior is a 7. And honestly, now that I've seen what they can do with different textures and countertops and things of that nature, you could probably bump that up to an 8. Exterior elegance is a 7 for sure. The comfort on the interior is solid 8. It's such a comfortable boat. Exterior comfort, a 6 only because it really doesn't have anything else. It doesn't have the front cockpit. It doesn't have the Versa Lounge. Anyways, there it is. Quality, a 9, and very deservedly a 9. Performance, an 8. This is a good performing boat. Lazy Sailor, a 7. Everything comes back to where you want it to be. Condo, a 7, and that's high for a 45-foot boat. Geek score, 7. And value for money, I'd put this at an 8. And if you scan down there aren't too many 8s. So well done. It's a beautiful boat, and I just absolutely love it. Moving to art of the region to get a flavor for the culture and the sense of style that feeds into each of these boats where they're made. And you don't have to look very far in South Africa to find art that you absolutely fall in love with. So this week's piece I think you'll really enjoy. Isabelle Leroux, Oil on Canvas, Harbor Cruise Waterfront. So Isabelle Leroux was born in Rustenburg, Northwest Province, South Africa. She's one of the most prolific artists in South Africa. Isabelle has been painting professionally since 1974 and has held more than 50 solo exhibitions locally as well as overseas. Her works are included in the collections of numerous corporations and are sought after by art galleries, art dealers, and private investors. At first impression of her art is vibrancy. The courageous use of color adds to the expressionistic quality of emotion and feeling. She paints life and creates her paintings in the journey of her own life. She is well known for her typical South African scenes, especially those from the Cape, but her travels abroad bring new dimension to her work. I really hope you enjoy this piece of art as much as I do. I hope you really enjoy this boat as much as I do. I'm telling you, there's a good chance Phil will get some of my money sooner or later. Have a great week, and we'll see you back here next week. Cheers. And transported to Boekenhoutskloof in Franschhoek. Oh, God almighty! And transported to Boekenhoutskloof in Franschhoek. Franschhoek.